Rafe Calder rode through the sun-drenched plains with a sense of both freedom and confinement, the rhythmic beat of his horse's hooves echoing the tumult within his soul. Once known as the swiftest horseman in the region, he was now a wanted thief, a title he wore heavily like a shroud. In the quiet moments between gallops, memories of his past haunted him, the robberies, the narrow escapes, and the faces of those he had wronged. Yet amidst this darkness lingered a flicker of hope, the dream of redemption. Beneath a rugged exterior lay a man searching for purpose. Rafe had spent years entangled in his own web of choices, feeling increasingly disconnected from the idealistic aspirations that once fueled his spirit. As rumors swirled about the Moss Creek Gang, a fierce group claiming territory through fear and violence, Rafe felt an unshakable pull toward their story, even if it meant stepping into danger. His heart raced at the thought of making things right. The fleeting whisper of a fresh start teased him like wind dancing through tall grass. However, this path was fraught with peril and betrayal, particularly when he learned that Jonas, his long-lost brother, commanded the gang with an iron fist. Jonas, once his closest friend and ally, had transformed into something Rafe no longer recognized. It was said that he ruled not merely by force but with charisma and strategy. This realization sparked a flame of conflicting emotions in Rafe's chest: anger for being left behind and relief that his brother had defied death. As shadows lengthened across the plains, Rafe tightened his grip on the reins, steeling himself for what lay ahead. He was stepping into a world where survival was built on loyalty and cunning, yet for Rafe, it marked not only a return to perilous choices but also an opportunity to confront his past, and perhaps uncover who he truly wished to become. Rafe's mind raced as he sat in the dimly lit office of Sheriff Grayson, the air thick with tension and the scent of tobacco. The sheriff leaned across the table, eyes sharp and unwavering, laying out a proposition that could alter Rafe's fate. "You want a clean slate, Rafe. You want to bury your past," Grayson's voice echoed with authority. "Then you're going to have to put yourself in harm's way." As the sheriff recounted the ruthless reign of the Moss Creek Gang, Rafe felt his heart pound with a mix of dread and exhilaration. The gang had terrorized nearby towns, their violent reputation solidifying their power. But it was not just the criminals that caught Rafe's interest. It was the knowledge that his brother led this chaotic empire. A lifetime of unresolved feelings surged within him: betrayal, anger, longing. Grayson continued with conviction. "Infiltrate them, gain their trust. We need evidence to bring them down once and for all." The offer hung in the air, the chance for freedom from his past sins dangled like a tempting carrot before him. But there was more at stake than just his own redemption. He would be navigating a minefield of deception and danger. Rafe's thoughts spun as he envisioned himself among the gang, their careless laughter, their loyalty to one another, but also their viciousness when crossed. He had lived on the fringes for too long, but could he really become one of them? The weight of his decision pressed heavily upon him, and a flicker of doubt crept in. What if Jonas wasn't just an outlaw? What if he had become something greater? With a deep breath, Rafe nodded slowly, accepting this fateful mission that would lead him back to the brother he thought lost forever, and into the heart of darkness that was the Moss Creek Gang. As Rafe prepared for his mission, a gnawing sense of anxiety gripped him. He rode toward the outskirts of town, where the shadows of the infamous Moss Creek Gang loomed large. Thoughts of infiltrating the gang filled his mind, strategies, disguises, and lies all jumbled together. Yet beneath that surface clutter lurked an undeniable truth that both terrified and exhilarated him. Jonas, his brother, who was presumed dead all these years, was at the helm of this outlaw crew. The realization struck Rafe like a thunderclap. He had spent countless days lamenting the loss of Jonas, wondering how his brother fared in a world they once navigated together. Now, instead of mourning a ghost, he would be facing him as an enemy leader. Rafe wrestled with the implications of this twist. Jonas had transformed from his childhood companion into a feared figure presiding over chaos and lawlessness. Every rumor he had heard about the gang suddenly took on new meaning. How could Jonas have become this powerful? The picture painted by Sheriff Grayson of a ruthless gang leader clashed with Rafe's memories of a loving brother. With each step closer to Moss Creek, Rafe felt the weight of family loyalty battling against his duty to bring justice to light. What had started as a straightforward assignment now opened a Pandora's box of emotions. Rafe envisioned confronting Jonas, navigating their shared history while maintaining his cover as an outlaw. What would he say? Would Jonas still see him as family or merely as an intruder seeking to dismantle his newfound empire? As he drew closer to the gang's hideout, apprehension coursed through Rafe. This was more than just a mission. This was a chance to confront the brother he thought lost forever, and he steeled himself for the emotional turmoil that awaited. The lines between right and wrong began to blur, setting the stage for a confrontation that could reshape everything he believed about family and redemption. The first time Rafe sat among the members of the Moss Creek gang, a storm of conflicting emotions brewed within him. He had positioned himself among these outlaws, donning the facade of a rogue with tales to tell, but the reality was far more complex. Every laugh shared and every drink raised felt heavy with the weight of his secret, the gnawing knowledge that Jonas was leading them. Gang life pulsated around him like a living organism, camaraderie intertwined with danger, laughter drowning out morality. Yet underneath the boisterous bravado of his companions lay a constant reminder of his purpose. He was there to gather intel, to find a way to bring them down. Trying to blend in while wrestling with his identity created an internal schism that threatened to tear him apart. As nights turned into restless days, Rafe found himself watching Jonas from the shadows, observing how the brother he once knew had evolved into a formidable leader. His demeanor commanded respect, his strategies bore thoughtfulness, and yet beneath that steely exterior flickered hints of the boy they once were. Each encounter pulled at Rafe's heartstrings. Was he witnessing a monster or merely a man shaped by harsh circumstances? Conversations about past deeds fueled his torment. As gang members recalled their escapades, Rafe fought against urges to reveal himself or intervene in moments of moral ambiguity. He could easily sympathize with their plight. How many times had he himself been forced into desperate choices? The very qualities that had once made Jonas endearing now cast shadows on Rafe's mission. Loyalty, love, and family tangled beneath layers of deception. With every smile he exchanged and every tale spun to maintain his cover, Rafe grappled with guilt and longing. Torn between allegiance to justice and blood ties that refused to fade, he felt increasingly isolated in his duplicity. Each passing day brought him closer to an inevitable confrontation, one that would either bind him irrevocably to his brother or tear them apart forever. The battle within him raged on, and no matter how far he traveled into the depths of this outlaw world, Rafe could not escape the reality that soon he would have to choose between freedom and family. Rafe's first days within the Moss Creek gang were a whirlwind of calculated deception and keen observation. He knew he had to earn their trust, and he approached the task with a blend of charm and subtlety. Initially, he played the role of a drifter looking for a place to belong, spinning tales of his past that both entertained and captivated his new companions. As laughter erupted around campfires and cards were dealt, Rafe skillfully navigated conversations, gleaning valuable information without drawing suspicion. He quickly adapted to the gang's dynamics, mimicking their mannerisms and learning their codes. Rafe participated in their daily activities, helping with chores, riding out on supply runs, and even engaging in target practice. His skills as a horseman earned him respect, and he found himself enjoying the camaraderie, even as a voice in the back of his mind reminded him of his true purpose. Despite the thrill of belonging to a group once so foreign to him, Rafe maintained an acute awareness of his surroundings. In hushed tones, he listened to whispered plans of upcoming raids and the gang's ongoing conflicts with rival groups. Each piece of information was meticulously stored away for later use. He noted the power struggles within the gang and observed how Jonas commanded loyalty through fear and charisma. However, as Rafe spent more time with the gang members, he found himself struggling to reconcile his growing affection for them with his mission's intent. The more he learned about their lives, their struggles against poverty and injustice, the more he questioned the righteousness of his cause. Were they truly criminals, or were they simply fighting against a system that had failed them? Late one night, while the others slept under a blanket of stars, Rafe stood watch, wrestling with his dual identity. He could feel the warmth of companionship growing stronger, yet the weight of betrayal hung heavily on his heart. With every passing hour, he was torn deeper between loyalty to his newfound allies and the haunting memory of a brother he had yet to face. The lines between right and wrong were increasingly blurred, and Rafe braced himself for the inevitable moment when he would have to choose between loyalty to the gang and loyalty to his blood. As Rafe delved deeper into the life of the Moss Creek gang, he began to recognize the intricate web of relationships that held the group together. Initially, he had viewed them through a narrow lens of criminality, but as he participated in their daily routines and witnessed their interactions, he started to see a community in the making, one built on shared struggles and mutual respect. The gang's members were not merely thieves and outlaws, they were individuals bound by a collective purpose forged in the fires of hardship. Rafe observed how they supported one another, whether it was sharing food during lean times or banding together to defend against rival groups. During one particularly revealing moment, he watched as they gathered to discuss their next move, not just as a plan for survival, but as a means to protect their territory and loved ones. They spoke passionately about their vision for a better life, free from the oppression they faced from those in power. The gang had unwritten rules, codes of conduct that emphasized loyalty, courage, and a fierce commitment to one another. Rafe found himself drawn into these values, feeling the allure of belonging to something larger than himself. Their laughter around the campfire was genuine, filled with stories and camaraderie that transcended their criminal activities. He was struck by their resilience, how they managed to carve out a sense of dignity amidst their lawless existence. This realization ignited a conflict within him. Rafe began to question the black and white morality he had long adhered to. Were these people truly villains, or were they merely survivors? The more time he spent with them, the more his perceptions shifted. He saw Jonas not as a ruthless leader, but as someone trying to rally his people against a world that had betrayed them. With each passing day, the gang's humanity began to eclipse Rafe's mission. He felt a growing sense of kinship with them, complicating his original intent to gather intelligence for law enforcement. The lines between right and wrong blurred further as he grappled with his loyalty to a brother who was navigating the complexities of leadership while trying to uplift those around him. Rafe stood at a crossroads, realizing that the path he chose could redefine not only his destiny, but also that of the community he had come to admire. As Rafe continued to immerse himself in the Moss Creek gang, he found his perspective on Jonas shifting dramatically. No longer did he view his brother solely as the ruthless figure who commanded fear and respect. Instead, Rafe began to see the underlying charisma and conviction that galvanized the gang. One evening, as they sat around a crackling fire under the starlit sky, Rafe listened intently to Jonas share stories with the gang about their struggles against corrupt landowners and unjust laws. His words resonated deeply, portraying not just a leader rallying his followers, but a man advocating for those who had long been marginalized. Rafe's heart ached at the realization that Jonas was a champion of their shared ideals from childhood, defiance against oppression, and a fight for dignity. He spoke passionately about securing their territory and protective measures for families facing eviction, framing their actions not as criminal endeavors, but as necessary resistance against a system stacked against them. Each story told around that fire revealed layers of thoughtfulness behind Jonas's leadership, causing Rafe to question everything he'd believed about his brother's transformation into an outlaw. As days turned into weeks, Rafe found himself observing the camaraderie among the gang not only as peers but as a family. They worked together to enrich each other's lives amidst countless hardships, and in doing so he saw glimpses of Jonas striving for something greater, an attempt to build a sanctuary where loyalty meant survival and trust could prevail over fear. This new understanding made Rafe reflect on his own past choices. Why had he judged Jonas so harshly without recognizing the fierce determination underlying his brother's actions? Could it be that the real monster was not Jonas, but the circumstances that had shaped him into this leader? Torn between familial love and his original mission, Rafe wrestled with an urge to protect his brother rather than bring him down. With each passing day spent among these outlaws in the making, Rafe found himself grappling with an inevitable conclusion. What if saving Jonas meant ultimately redefining justice itself? His journey through this world was evolving from one of mere infiltration to a deeper exploration of loyalty, sacrifice, and perhaps even redemption for both himself and his brother. As Rafe navigated the complexities of gang life, vivid memories from his childhood began to surface, illuminating the bond he once shared with Jonas. He recalled long summer days spent on their family's farm, where they would race their horses through fields of golden wheat, laughter ringing out like music. Those carefree moments were punctuated by aspirations of adventure and dreams of escaping the constraints of their mundane lives. They were inseparable, two brothers against the world, each other's confidants and allies. However, the idyllic years were marred by hardship when their father fell ill, leaving the family to struggle under the weight of responsibility. Rafe remembered how Jonas had stepped up, taking on extra chores and helping to keep the family afloat. In those moments, Rafe felt a swell of pride for his brother. Jonas was not only strong but fiercely protective of their younger siblings. Yet as the pressures mounted, tensions began to fray. The brothers found themselves on opposite sides during heated arguments about how to navigate their grim reality. The rift between them widened after Jonas made a choice that Rafe could never understand. In a desperate act to protect their family, Jonas turned to a life of petty crime, believing it was the only way to ensure their survival. Rafe, horrified by this shift, felt betrayed and abandoned by the brother he had idolized. The decision to sever ties became a necessity for him, a painful act that left an indelible mark on both their lives. Now, as Rafe observed Jonas leading the Moss Creek gang with an unwavering conviction, he began to see echoes of that young boy, the one who fought fiercely for family and dignity. This realization deepened Rafe's internal conflict. Was it really betrayal that had driven them apart, or was it merely a tragic divergence in their paths? He couldn't help but wonder if he had misjudged Jonas all those years ago. With each passing day in the gang's midst, Rafe felt the weight of his past choices pressing down on him. He grappled with memories that revealed not only the love they once shared, but also the circumstances that had led them to their current fates. The longing for reconciliation tugged at his heart as he questioned whether it was too late to mend what had been broken. The childhood bond they once cherished now served as both a haunting reminder and a flicker of hope, a chance for redemption that perhaps lay within reach if only he could bridge the gap between them once more. As Rafe settled into his role within the Moss Creek gang, tension began to mount outside their encampment. Law enforcement had grown increasingly impatient, frequently demanding updates on Rafe's progress and pressing for results that he struggled to deliver. Each interaction with Sheriff Grayson felt like a tightening noose. The sheriff's expectations weighed heavily on him, a constant reminder of the precarious position he occupied between two worlds. Rafe could sense the urgency in Grayson's voice whenever they communicated, mixed with frustration over the gang's continued elusiveness. "We need actionable intelligence, Rafe," the sheriff would insist. "You're running out of time, we can't let them grow any stronger." With each passing day, Rafe felt the pressure intensifying, not just from the law but from his own internal conflict regarding his loyalties to Jonas and the gang he had grown to admire. Amidst this turmoil, Rafe found himself grappling with the gang's intentions. They were not just surviving, they were orchestrating plans that aimed to empower those who had been oppressed by a corrupt system. The more he witnessed their community spirit and shared determination to fight injustice, the more conflicted he became about his mission. He was meant to gather evidence to bring them down, yet every act of solidarity he observed among them chipped away at his resolve. One evening, as he stood guard around the flickering campfire with gang members sharing their dreams for a better future, Rafe felt a surge of loyalty toward them, an allegiance that contradicted his original purpose. The chasm between his duty and his growing attachment widened with each passing moment. He realized that if he were to betray this newfound family, he would be tearing apart not only their lives but also something fundamental within himself. Caught in this web of obligation and familial ties, Rafe faced an agonizing choice: to expedite his mission and deliver evidence against Jonas, or to protect the very ideals that had begun to resonate deeply within him. As law enforcement's demands grew louder and more insistent, Rafe was left questioning what freedom truly meant and at what cost it would come. Time was running out fast, and he knew he had to make a decision that would ultimately shape not only his destiny, but also that of his brother and the gang he had come to respect. The tension within the Moss Creek gang reached a boiling point when Rafe stumbled upon a devastating scheme that threatened not only their community but the surrounding region as well. While gathering intelligence one evening, he overheard whisperings about an upcoming raid targeting a local town, where the gang planned to seize supplies and resources in an act of desperation. The plan was reckless. Rafe recognized immediately that such actions would invite violent reprisals from law enforcement and further entrench the gang's reputation as ruthless criminals. As he processed this newfound information, Rafe felt a wave of dread wash over him. The gang's intentions, which had seemed so noble just days before, were now overshadowed by this impending threat. He recalled the ideals they had discussed around the campfire, their aspirations for justice and dignity for those oppressed by corrupt systems, and realized how quickly those principles could be twisted into something destructive. The irony struck him hard. What could have been a rallying cry for liberation was on the verge of becoming an act of aggression that could endanger lives. Rafe found himself at a crucial crossroads. If he reported this scheme to Sheriff Grayson, he would undoubtedly fulfill his mission but betray Jonas and the very community that had welcomed him with open arms. Yet, if he remained silent, he would be complicit in an act that could lead to chaos and bloodshed. The weight of his decision gnawed at him as he weighed his loyalties against the potential fallout. Determined to prevent a disaster, Rafe decided to confront Jonas directly. That night, under the cloak of darkness, he approached his brother with a mixture of urgency and fear. "Jonas," he said, his voice low yet firm, "this raid you're planning, it's going to end in disaster for everyone involved." Rafe's heart raced as he laid out his concerns, hoping to reach the brother he had once known, the boy who fought for family and fairness. This was not just about loyalty anymore. It was about saving lives and preventing a cycle of violence that would irreparably damage both their worlds. As Jonas listened, Rafe held his breath, praying that this pivotal moment would illuminate a path forward, a chance to redefine their shared destiny amidst chaos and uncertainty. The night air was thick with tension as Rafe stood before Jonas, his heart pounding in rhythm with the crackling fire behind them. They had retreated from the prying eyes of the gang to discuss the impending raid, and Rafe felt the weight of both brotherly love and duty pressing down on him. "Jonas," he began, his voice steady but laced with urgency, "this raid isn't just reckless, it's a mistake that could destroy everything you've worked for." Jonas's expression hardened, a mixture of anger and confusion flashing across his face. "You think you know what's best for us now, Rafe? You've been playing both sides long enough to forget what it means to fight for survival." There was a fire in Jonas's eyes, but Rafe recognized the flicker of desperation beneath it. "Survival doesn't mean becoming the very monsters we aim to fight against," Rafe countered, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You're leading a gang that could protect people, not terrorize them. We had dreams of a better life, remember. It's why you started this in the first place." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, Rafe saw hesitation in Jonas's demeanor, an echo of their childhood aspirations and unbreakable bond. But just as quickly as it appeared, that softness was replaced by resolve. "You don't understand what I'm up against. The system is rigged against us, and if we don't take action now, we lose everything." Rafe felt a surge of emotion, torn between his brother's passion and the potential chaos brewing from this raid. "But at what cost? If you push us into conflict, you'll only bring more violence upon our people." His voice cracked with desperation as he reached out to the brother he had once known. Jonas took a step back, his expression unreadable. "This isn't just about us anymore. This is about power." The weight of the words struck Rafe like a physical blow, forcing him to confront the painful truth of their diverging paths. In that pivotal moment, Rafe realized he was standing at the brink of a chasm, one that could either pull them back together or rip them apart forever. As tensions flared between them, Rafe knew that whatever decision Jonas made would define not only their futures, but also the fate of those they had vowed to protect. The climax of their conflict loomed large, and with it came the potential for unity or devastation beyond measure. The confrontation with Jonas left Rafe reeling, the weight of his brother's words echoing in his mind like a haunting melody. Though they had been locked in a heated argument, Rafe could still feel the bond that tied them together, fragile yet persistent. Standing on the precipice of an irrevocable decision, he wrestled with his conscience. Was he prepared to betray Jonas for the sake of freedom, or would he dare to stand by him in the face of impending injustice? As the night deepened, Rafe took a moment to gather his thoughts. The campfire flickered nearby, casting long shadows on the ground, mirroring the duality of his feelings toward Jonas and the gang he had come to know. He had seen firsthand how the Moss Creek gang operated as a community, fighting against societal oppression and striving for a better future. They were not merely outlaws, they were people attempting to reclaim their dignity and protect their families. Yet now, the reality of their planned raid threatened to undo all that they had built. Rafe envisioned the chaos that would follow, violence erupting in a town that had done nothing to deserve it, innocent lives caught in the crossfire. He could already hear Sheriff Grayson's voice demanding results, urging him to act swiftly and decisively against a gang that posed a significant threat. In that moment, clarity washed over Rafe. He realized that true loyalty transcended mere blood ties. It demanded courage and integrity. If he wanted to protect those he cared about both within the gang and beyond, he had to confront Jonas again, but this time with determination rather than desperation. Taking a deep breath, Rafe steeled himself for what lay ahead. He could sense that their shared history was at stake. Either they could unite against the destructive path Jonas was considering, or be torn apart by choices rooted in fear and anger. The stakes were higher than ever, and as Rafe prepared to speak once more with his brother, he understood that this was not just about saving lives. It was about redefining their legacy as brothers and as men fighting for justice in a world fraught with turmoil. His heart raced as he approached Jonas again, ready to advocate not just for his own freedom but for a vision of unity that could reshape their futures forever. This pivotal choice loomed before him: embrace betrayal or become an ally in justice. The decision weighed heavily on Rafe's shoulders as he prepared to dive into this critical moment that would ultimately define what family truly meant to them both. Rafe took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. He understood now that loyalty was not just about blood ties, it was also about standing up for what was right. As he looked into Jonas's eyes, he saw not just his brother but a man caught in a storm of desperation and conviction. Their shared childhood, filled with dreams and aspirations, flashed before him, memories of laughter and adventure that felt like lifetimes ago. "I can't let you do this," Rafe said firmly, steadying his resolve. "This raid will destroy everything you've built. You're better than this, Jonas, we both are." The firelight reflected in Jonas's eyes, revealing a flicker of uncertainty beneath his hardened exterior. Rafe pressed on, feeling an urgency to break through the wall that had formed between them. "This isn't just about power, it's about protecting our people." Jonas's expression softened momentarily, and Rafe seized the opportunity to appeal to the brother he once knew. "We can find another way, a way that honors your leadership while ensuring no more innocent lives are lost. The gang looks up to you. You can redirect their energy toward something meaningful instead of chaos." In that moment, Rafe saw a flicker of hope in Jonas's eyes, as if the man he had idolized as a child was trying to break free from the shadows of the outlaw life. "You really believe we can change things?" Jonas asked quietly, uncertainty lacing his voice. "Yes," Rafe responded, feeling a surge of purpose. "Together, we can be more than just outlaws, we can be a force for change." With every word spoken, Rafe felt the bonds of family tightening once more as hope began to blossom between them. The path forward might be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in years, he sensed the possibility of redemption, not just for himself but for Jonas and the Moss Creek gang as well. As they stood together under the night sky, two brothers on the brink of redefining their legacy, Rafe realized that true freedom came not from abandoning family but from embracing it fully, even in the face of adversity. Whatever lay ahead would intertwine their fates irrevocably. Together they would forge a new path against injustice, reclaiming their ideals and reshaping their destinies as they fought side by side for a better future. In the days that followed their intense confrontation, Rafe felt a profound shift within himself. He had walked the line between duty and loyalty for so long, but now he understood what it truly meant to belong. The Moss Creek Gang was not just a group of outlaws, they were a family forged by shared struggles and defiance against oppression. As they worked together to redirect their focus away from chaos and towards community support, Rafe found himself integrated into their lives in ways he never imagined possible. He participated in efforts to strengthen bonds within the gang, organizing gatherings where members could share their stories and aspirations. Each story exchange deepened his connection to them, revealing that they were all fighting for something greater than themselves, for dignity, respect, and the chance at a better life. Rafe's heart swelled with pride as he witnessed the transformation taking place. It was no longer just about survival, they were building a movement rooted in solidarity. Watching Jonas step into his role as a leader with renewed purpose further cemented Rafe's resolve. Jonas began implementing plans that would provide safe houses for those in need and opportunities for work, channeling their energy into constructive paths rather than destructive ones. In these moments, Rafe saw the brother he had idolized as a child re-emerging, a man determined to uplift rather than dismantle. Yet, as they forged ahead toward this vision of unity, Rafe also reflected on his own journey. He realized that his initial intentions of betrayal had transformed into a commitment to protect not only Jonas, but also the community they had both come to cherish. The tension he once felt between freedom and family dissolved into clarity. True freedom was found in loyalty to those striving for justice alongside him. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Jonas and their fellow gang members, Rafe embraced his role as an integral part of this new family. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, not as criminals but as advocates for change, reclaiming their narrative amidst the chaos of a world that sought to silence them. Through this journey of redemption, Rafe discovered that belonging meant more than shared blood. It meant shared purpose, and he was finally home.